Alright, I'm going to do a quick rundown of what's in my disc golf bag. So I finally ended up mixing up my brands. I'm not brand loyal anymore. I am still supporting Michigan companies, so I'm going with MVP Axiom and Discraft. I'm also sporting the Ridge roller cart, which is super sweet. Really easy to roll on the course. Super nice to have. So let's get right into it with what's in the bag. I've kind of changed it up quite a bit. I am now putting with Challengers. These are pretty fresh, pretty new. They've only seen a couple of rounds. And whichever one is feeling it is the one that I go to. This one is a little bit lighter and this one is a little bit heavier, but there's not much of a difference in the putters. They go straight. A little bit farther out they reliably fade to the left. So these are my putting putters inside the circle and outside the circle. So moving on, my throwing putters, I carry the Axiom Soft Proxy. This is my understable throwing putter. It can still hold a lot of torque. It can still hold a lot of power, but it's going to turn over. It's been seasoned a little bit. It has quite a few rounds on it from my just pure MVP Axiom days. And to go along with that, I got the regular neutron proxy, Axiom proxy, and this one is a lot straighter than the soft proxy. I beat the soft proxy in to be able to hold a turn. This neutron proxy is pretty straight still. It'll even fade given enough hyzer. So it'll still flip up a little bit and it'll still ride quite a bit straight, but given a little fade or given a little hyzer, it will fade. Again, it can still hold a lot of power, and you can still really crank on it, and it'll go really far. For my overstable mid-range, or for my overstable putter, it's the Discraft Zone 173, 174, and this, if you want a putter to go left, right hand, backhand, you're reaching for the zone. This one you can get some awesome flex shots out of it if you put some ante on it. But the Discraft Zone is my overstable putter. This one is a little bit more understable than I'd like it to be. It's a bit domey, but it's still a zone. It still holds a nice stable hyzer line, spike hyzer line, flex line, whatever you put on it, it's definitely going to hold it. Moving on to the mid-ranges, I have two understable mid-ranges. This is the Axiom Theory, and this theory is still decently straight, and it has the tiniest bit of fade at the end of its flight, but it's decently straight. If I want something more understable, I'll reach for the Plasma Theory. This one has seen quite a few rounds now. It is heavier. The sticker's worn off. It is heavier, but it'll definitely hold a turn all the way to the ground and flatten out. Giving a lot of angle, it'll definitely hold the big hand hyzer turnover lines that theories are known for. And then moving up in stability from the theory, I have 4 different matrices. Starting off with the most understable matrix, a little bit more stable than the theory, is this pink limited edition. There is no chains matrix. This one will hold some turn, but it'll definitely reliably fade out, more so than the orange, the day glow yellow theory. Give it enough angle though, it'll still hold that anhyzer line, and as you can see, it's been used quite a bit. This is a go-to mid-range if I want a straight shot with reliable fade. This is the one that I'm reaching for. A little bit more fade, we jump up to this green matrix, just a tad more fade. It's still, you could still put a decent amount of power on it and it'll glide off to the right and it'll fade back. Moving on up, we have a fresh, brand new matrix. This one is 175, and this one is very stable right out the box. Thrown flat, it'll flip up the tiniest bit, but then it'll start hyzering out. Not too much though. It's still a straight to stable mid-range. And then I've used this one a little bit more. It's 178, but it still has enough stability, straight stable mid-range, and goes straight and reliably fade out whenever that shot calls for. Given some anhyzer, it does fight back out of it and then reliably fade. Then moving on up, the overstable mid-range spot is the Discraft Buzz OS, first run Buzz OS. This is a meat hook. This is another zone style disc. So this one, big spike hyzers thrown flat. It'll definitely hook up to the left. So if I ever need something to go left and reliably left, more so than any of the straight mid-range or straight matrices, I reach for the Buzz OS. Moving on up to the fairway drivers. The most understable fairway driver that I have is the Neutron Signal. This is a 175 signal, and this thing, if you want a disc to go right hand, backhand, this is the disc to do it. In a tailwind, this thing thrown with the slightest bit of hyzer, in a tailwind, it'll flip up straight, glide for a little bit, and start to fade right. This disc will not fade left. This is an awesome roller disc. If you throw it flat and straight or with some angle, it'll stand up and go quite a ways. But given some hyzer, it'll definitely flip up and start to go to the right. So if you want a disc to go to the right and you're throwing right hand, backhand, pick yourself up a signal. Moving on up from the signal, I carry 5 of these in order from least stable to most stable. I carry the MVP Volt. This is a 150 volt, and this one is a dead straight fairway driver. Now the Volt is a little bit faster. It's compared to a Valkyrie, I think, in speed, but as far as fairway drivers go, this is the one that I lean to the most. So the Volt and the 150s, sweeping S curves with reliable fade back. Given some hyzer, it'll pop up and then it'll glide dead straight. If I want a little bit more fade, I'll reach for the Plasma Volt 174. This one's a little bit fresher, but it's still not as stable as I thought it would be, but it still finds a spot in my bag as far as straight fairways go. Moving on up in stability after the Plasma Volt is the Neutron Volt. This one can have a little bit of bite at the end, but thrown with some hyzer, it'll hold a hyzer. Thrown with some hyzer into a headwind, it'll pop up, maybe right a little bit to the right, but it'll definitely still end up finishing stable out, finishing a little bit to the left. And moving on up in stability after that, headwind fighters. If I want a disc to go straight with fade into a headwind, I reach for either the Eclipse Proton Volt or a regular Proton Volt. These are pretty much interchangeable. The Eclipse has a little bit more wear, but the Proton Volt has seen a little bit more use in the winter with the snow. Both of these are pretty stable. These are wind fighters. Thrown hard, thrown flat, they'll definitely hyzer out, definitely finish left. If I want more stability than those, I end up reaching for an ESP Predator. So I have in the most stable putter is ESP Zone. The most stable mid-range is Buzz OS. Most stable fairway, ESP Predator. This thing is stable. Thrown hard, thrown flat, it's gonna go left. Anhyzer, it's gonna go left. You can throw this on a hard anhyzer, it's gonna fight off to the left. If I want a disc to go left and I want a fairway, I'm reaching for the Predator. And last but not least, we have the distance drivers. All my distance drivers are Discraft, whereas most of my fairways and most of my min-ranges were MVP Axiom, but all of my distance drivers are Discraft. Starting from most understable is the TI Thrasher, PDGA Amateur and Junior World Champions TI Thrasher. This thing bombs. This is my farthest flying disc in the bag. Thrown flat with a tailwind, this thing will go far. And a headwind is not very reliable. It'll just turn over and burn. But in a tailwind, or if conditions are right, this thing bombs. So that's why I keep it in the bag. This is probably my farthest thrown disc right now. Keep in mind that I max out at like 375, 400 on a very, very good throw. But this is the disc that I would choose to do it with. Moving on up in stability, I have a TI Punisher. In a headwind, this one, thrown wrong, this one will definitely turn and burn too much, but if I want a disc to go straight and I want distance with reliable fade at the end, I'm reaching for a TI Punisher. And then a Fluke Force that I have. These pretty much fly the same. They both have the same amount of turn. The Punisher doesn't fade as much as the Force. This one still fades a little bit more. But this is an ESP Force. And like I said, these pretty much fly the same, so they do the same thing in the bag. But I'm hoping to get another ESP Force to take the Punisher out. Anyways, the ESP Force, another bomber disc, a little bit more stable than the Thrasher. This one will have some turn to it, and then it'll reliably fade back into a tailwind. Throwing hard, throwing flat, it'll go far, and then it'll fade to the left. Moving on up in stability after these two, there's the Big Z Force Twins. I picked these up. I was hoping that it'd be a little bit less stable than the ESP Force, but they ended up being a bit more stable for now. These, thrown hard, thrown flat, will definitely fade out. Given some anhyzer, they'll ride it a tiny bit, but they'll still fade out. These are just twins. One's a backup, or whatever one I'm feeling, just to kind of minimalize the wear a bit. But ESP Force, these things bomb. Not as far as Thrasher, but they still go decently far. Not as far as I'd hope, but we all seem to think that. And last but not least is the most stable wind fighter, and that is just a regular Z Force. This one does have a little bit of dome to it, and this one, a little pop top, not too much, but this one is definitely stable, much more stable than the Big Z Forces. I have a backup in the car, but it doesn't make its way into the bag unless I end up losing this one, which I hope I don't. Anyways, straight hyzer shots, big hyzer shots, Spike Kaiser shots. If I want something to go left and I want a distance driver, I'm choosing the Discraft Force and Z Plastic. Like I said, this is my most stable driver. And that is all that I have in my bag. I also got a Discraft Sports Sack. I have an MVP Nano Mini. I also have a Discraft Mini Buzz. These things are cool. Discraft Mini Buzz. I'm hoping to get my kiddo. He's only 18 months, but he's going to start throwing these soon. That's exciting. Like I said, the Ridge Roller is pretty sweet. Awesome setup. And that's it for now. If you have any questions, drop a line. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys later. Peace.